the episode of the Rapper Cat Podcast. I'm your host, Mike the Young OG. I got the big OG in here with me today. Pops, say what's up to the peoples.
Hey, people.
So, before we get started, I gotta say thank you. I've been working on this for like 3 months. I've been asking you, maybe longer, to be on the podcast. Definitely one of the main people ask to be on the podcast. So you giving the people what they want for the first time in your life. So, first thing, got to do a top 3. So I'm gonna ask you something. I've probably been wanting to ask you this for like a couple months. Give me your top 3 things that you've accomplished so far this year. Cause you done had a good year.
Wow, top 3 this year. That's oh wow, this year.
Yeah, you got so many. You trying to narrow it down to this year? Yeah.
Wow, no, it's just that this year I really haven't thought about it in terms of this year, since this year has gone by so fast.
Yeah.
It's just been an amazing year, but looking back, like, wow, January, and next thing you knew, it was March and April, and here we are,
right,
in October, and here I am sitting in the Rapper Cat Podcast.
Yes,
I tell you, this is. I would say, number one, this is one of my top achievements, to actually get in this room and say yes. I didn't know how I was going to feel coming in your space and coming in to see what's going on, not knowing what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was sticking my head in a lion's mouth. I didn't want to get caught like that.
Nah. We ain't gonna do you like that today. We ain't gonna do you like that today.
But yeah, that I think one of the biggest transitions for me this year, or accomplishments, was really having a transition to become less selfish in the things that I'm doing in at home. Well, I guess not necessarily at home, because I'm not necessarily selfish at home, but usually I'm selfish from the standpoint of the things that I want to do, the things that I like to be involved in. But now that, you know, in ministry, things have been taking off for me, and I'm learning that I have to love the people God wants to meet. Love the people that God loves, and love them the way He loves them. And so that's for everybody. That love is not just for me and my friends, but it's for everybody.
Right.
And so the time is for me to step out now and be available for Him to use me in those avenues, and to talk to those people and interact with those people as He would have me to interact with His people. So
right.
That's the second. And number 3 was, actually coming to a point to get ordained as an elder at my church, Speaking Spirit Ministries, where I'm led by the awesome Apostle Fred Wyatt and Pastor Inger Wyatt. Yes. Best pastors on the planet, best church. So, hey, that's a plug out. If you're looking for a church home, you're looking for a place to hear the truth and hear the word of God unfiltered, hey, come on out and stop by. We'll love you, and we'll bless you, and and receive you, and you can leave with some juice in your tank.
Facts. So I'm gonna say my top 3 accomplishments. I'm gonna say getting the fitness center that I work at. We got an award for best. I think it was process improvement. So we'll be back in DC again. Like, this is the 2nd year in a row that we've gotten nominated for something.
Congratulations, that's great.
So we'll be back in DC getting that award, and this one though is like strictly for like the fitness center. Last year we got one as a team for opening the cafeteria.
Yeah.
But like this year, like we went 3 out of the 6 for like our what we got nominated for, or what we can get nominated for. 3 of our programs, 1 out of the 6. So I'll say that the fitness center again won.
Does that come with a bonus?
Yeah. It came with a bonus. I don't know when it's gonna hit, but yeah, I think it came with a bonus.
Congratulations, that's good stuff.
Thank you. That's. I wouldn't say that's my top one, but I'll say that's an achievement that I kind of take pride in. Just turning the program around and trying to make it better. Second one probably would be like, this is probably the first year. I think I've been saying I'm working on moving out for like 2 years now, but it's like the first year, or this is the year that I'm actually in a position to do something, like to go, like actually been talking, looking at places, and got it narrowed down to like 2 places, and just got to make sure I got everything in order before I start and be like, all right, cool, let's go ahead and sign, do this, this, and this, and this. So I'll say that's my second one. My third achievement. I'll probably say my humility. I feel like that's been something I've been praying for. I feel like that's been something that I actually been like working towards, like actively, just being in a position, being humble. I don't feel like I'm a very like arrogant person, but I have very loud confidence. I'll say that. So, and I'm not shy about letting you know that I know who I am. So I will say it's more so been humility from the standpoint of like not getting too comfortable, because I feel like comfort is a sign of pride, and also it can also be a sign of like just in general a sign of, what am I trying to say? Like whenever you think you got it all together and you're just like, oh yeah, everything is falling in line, it's easy to be in your confident stage there. But I remember like everything that it took to like get to this moment, and just being grateful for those opportunities on the bad days and the good days. Like I'm where I want to be, and where I said I wanted to be like 2 years ago, a year ago, 3 years ago. Like everything has basically been very easy for me. So I'm trying to be very humble and stay in that, and just realize that I did work hard to get where I am, but also there was some grace in placing me where I am in my life in general. So I would say that's my number one accomplishment. I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job of just staying very humble in the things that I'm doing. Okay. So I'm gonna clock that T for myself. And so I want to, before we go into what we're going to talk about, I kind of wanted to touch on the ordination. I asked you this question, I think the night that you did get ordained. But I want to kind of know in detail, like, this is the third go around of you getting ordained as an elder. Or second? Mm-hmm. You weren't, when we were in Germany, you didn't get? Mm-hmm. Okay, so second go round. So what is the real difference like whenever you got it before? I know you said it was like experience and stuff like that, but the first time that you did it, or that you got ordained, like, what did it feel like versus this time? Because I know what it felt like for me, but I want to know from you, like, what did it feel like? Because I thought you was gonna boohoo cry, but you didn't.
Well, it was the first time back in 2014, 2015 time frame. Mm-hmm. We got back, when did we get back from Germany? 2012. So I'll say 2013, 2014 time frame. More 2014. It was more so what we had been preparing to do when we were in Germany, and we didn't, we left before any of that stuff started to manifest or started to happen for us. So when it happened then, it was like, okay, great. But I always knew it was in that particular church, but there was a ceiling on the growth there. Right. There was things that we weren't going to be able to get into, and then we had some church stuff that was going on, and it didn't work out, and so our season was over, and it was time for us to go, mm-hmm. And so we had a great time in that season. But what makes this one so different, and what makes this one so special, is that we went to a church. We found Speaking Spirit Ministries after a little while after we began looking for our next church home, and it was just no one knew anything about us. Mm. And so no prejudgments, no, they have this or they have that, or they've done this, they've done that. None of that was there. And I walk in the door and I hear the voice of the pastor, the voice of the shepherd of the house, and I hear the voice of a father. Mm-hmm. And as you know, I have a struggle. I have had a struggle in that area all my life because I never had a father. My father never wanted to be a father. My biological father, he wasn't in my life, and he didn't want me to be in his life. So, that's where it was. And so that was such a big thing of pride when I had you, the opportunity to be a father to a son. It's like, wow, I'm looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. But so to hear him and to hear his voice and to hear the anointing that he has of mentoring men, shepherding men, building men, correcting men, all of that kind of stuff. It was a great place to be. And for me to be there and then to sit under his leadership and hear his teachings and start to allow those things to hit my heart and then hit my family, and then just to see how it changes our lives and things that, you know, he preaches about or thing that he talks about, and to see it actually happen in our homes, it was like amazing. And so to get to a point not only to be ordained by him as a minister, you know, then to get to the point where he considered me worthy to be considered for elder, the first time in his 16-year pastor that he decided to do elders. And I was one of those, you know, I was one of the three. And it was just an amazing experience from a standpoint of, you talk about humility, you know, I was just thinking as the days was coming up, you know, you telling people, okay, you know, I'm inviting the special guest that I wanted to come and share the experience with me. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, is he going to change his mind? Is he going to say, no, you're not ready yet. Oh, no, we're going to do this another time. You know, I just kept thinking that something was going to happen that was going to stop it. And so I just said, well, whatever the Lord's will is, we're going to handle, we're going to stay here, you know, stay in the boat and see what happens on Wednesday. And then it happened. And so it was just great to have, number one, to have, you know, Camilla and you and all of our loved ones there. You know, it was special. So it was just the next level of my development as a man, as a man of God. Mm-hmm. And to really begin to allow the ministry that he's given me to move to the next level, to move to a greater level, for me to walk in a greater level of closeness with him, intimacy with him, and even obedience with him. So that's kind of how I felt, and that's kind of how I've seen the difference between the two. One was like, okay, I've been trained for this, but then this next one was like, wait a minute, this is a whole new level, a whole new season, a whole new. I have a whole new aptitude for the responsibility that's going to take for me to walk in this new thing. And I thank you that, hey, it's all because of the grace of God, and I'm going to be leaning on him like never before in order to do the new things, to fulfill the new assignments that I have.
Mm. Yeah. I was up there. I said, man, this is deep. Like, you could just feel it in the crowd, almost like, kind of like, I mean, the first set when he did the deacons, it was like, all right, cool, like that was good. Then he did with the ministers, and then like that when from the elders on to like when he did Pastor Inger, I was like, whew, like it was thick.
Yes, it was.
It was thick. So I always wanted to know, I'm like, dang, is he gonna cry, or is he gonna what's he gonna look? I was looking at Mom, I was looking at you. I'm like,
I was crying on the inside.
Yeah, for sure. So to get into our topic for today, so I've had this theory, and I didn't realize like how long I've had this theory. So I was on the way here, like I turned my music off, because the gym playlist was still on. So when I cut the car on and the music connected, I was jamming, and I was like, all right, hold on, let me get my mind up right real quick.
That's so funny. I did the same thing. I was listening to something too. I was like, wait a minute, I got to cut this off and start listening to, you know, I just started praying, because I'm like, I get myself in the right mind, so I don't know what I'm getting ready to step into. But I'm in here with my son. I said, so I want to take advantage of this father-son moment.
Yeah, so I said, man, I got the notes written down somewhere. Like I was one night it just came to me, or one day I just thought about it, and I'm like, oh, I gotta write this down. It ended up being a voice message. The voice message was like a minute and 30 minutes long, or a minute and 30 seconds long. I ended up listening to it like 3 or 4 times and just listening to it. And the date was like, I think it was either March or May 2021. So I'm like, bruh, it's been 4 years since like I had this theory. But so initially, not to get too deep, my theory is men don't dream. So, and I say that because as men, as we get older and older, like from an adolescence, it's natural for men. Of course, if you're involved in sports, I want to be an NBA player. I want to be an NFL player. I want to be a track star. I want to be a soccer player. I want to be a musician. I want to be a rapper, a singer, whatever it is. Like, we have those, like, I don't want to say generic dreams, but at this point they're generic because everybody wants to do it. If you can do it, if you can play basketball, if you can play football, if you can do something in that space sports wise, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna take that opportunity if you can go professional. But as we get older and older and older, our dreams start to dwindle away. And yes, we are logical creatures by nature, but we don't realize how much the opportunity gets snatched away from us to actually dream, because we also have obligations, like to family, to ourselves, to where we're actually like, well, nah, we don't have time for this. We have to focus on what's going to be stable. And that creates the narrative, I believe, of us just being like, all right, cool. Now we can only focus on this. So as we get older and as we like transition and do things, we don't realize that, oh, now this was never my dream. This was something that I'm just really good at. So like going just based off of that, I just wanted to ask you first, like, you going to the military, like, do you remember before like the military, like what was your dream? And I know the military wasn't necessarily your dream. It was more so a choice. But what was your dream before the military?
Well, my dream before the military was, initially it was to become a football player, was to play professional football. Mm-hmm. And as that transition, it looked like that was not going to be the case. My next dream was really to become an entertainer. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to sing. I wanted to imitate Luther, Freddie Jackson, those kind of things, those kind of artists. And that's kind of what I used when I got to college. I was trying to do music, trying to do different things. And, I have a decent voice, but I didn't have that kind of voice. Right. I didn't have a Luther voice, that certain singing, like those guys have that certain anointing that just, when they put it on a song, it's like, it's a total different experience. You have you have what they call an eargasm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you have that. So it's an amazing experience to hear those people that have been blessed with that voice to be able to carry it over music, to carry it over notes, or even a cappella. So once I decided that wasn't necessarily, it's so funny. I was trying to do it secularly, and none of the doors ever opened for me. But when I started singing in church choirs, boom, I got opportunities. All the opportunities to sing. I'm going to different places singing, different solos or different, even, just singing as part of the choir, quartets and those kind of things. Those were the things. So that kind of, as you talked about the dream, it began to show me that there are dreams, but your dreams begin to change, because when you begin to understand who you are in Christ, you begin to see that your dreams, God already has plans for us. He said his in Jeremiah, when he says he has plans for our goodness, plans for our desired ending for us, and they're good plans. So because those are plans, a lot of times we don't understand. Like, a good father is supposed to be able to understand what God's plan is for his children. Mm-hmm. And as he understands what God's plan by, communicating with God, by standing in the word of God, he begins to hear, he begins to see, as he watches his children grow, where their talents are, where their giftings are. And then he begins to push them in that direction so that they can find out fully what it is for them to do, what it is for them to go. Like I told you before, I believe the best doctors are those that were anointed to be doctors, not people who just chose to be doctors. Right. Or the best lawyers. They were anointed. They had that anointing to do well in that field as they go in there. And so I think as I got older, my dreams began to change from personal, I want to be the next Michael Jackson, or I want to be the next Bo Jackson. No, it became, I want to be the best person God has for me and do everything he wants me to do. I'm dreaming about debt freedom right now, being debt free. I'm dreaming about being a good grandfather. I'm dreaming about being a good, even better father for you as you move into the times when I've told you, you're going to start to understand some of the things that I've been telling you about, because now you're going to start putting on those hats when you move out and have your own place, when you're paying the rent, when you're raising children, when you have a wife. You once you put those hats on, you're gonna see a whole different thing. And I want to be there for you to mentor you through it, to coach you through it, to be a rock for you to lean on when you need to. So those are my dreams now: to be a better husband, and even to be a better instrument for God to use me in the body of Christ. So you don't, if you're mature about the way you grow, you don't change, you don't stop dreaming. Your dreams just change to be more so into where you see your life going, where you see the things that happen. Your dreams become less selfish, and they become more about family, more about what God is doing in your life. If I don't think men stop dreaming. It's just that if you do stop dreaming, sometimes that's when you start dying. You really start, you get frustrated, you don't do anything. Your dreams just mature. Your dreams just change. Yeah, even in light of the reality of, I got a 9 to 5, or I have a family to raise, I have obligations. No, but your dream is still there, because now you want to be the best at doing that. You want to be the best provider. You want to be the best learner, the best person to do anything that you're doing. You want to be the best at, and that because you always want to be the best at everything you do.
Yeah, of course.
I am so best. Competitive.
I am the best at everything I do. I am the best for sure. But for on my side, this is to kind of play devil's advocate. So like my age younger, like, did you ever feel a time whenever you were married? You were about to have me by my age, but
yep, you were born. I was 29 when you were born.
Yeah. So, like, before all that, did you think, as you was growing up, did you think, like, before you started maturing and you started growing and stuff like that with your family, did you ever think, man, like, I missed out, or like I didn't get an opportunity to chase this, and I wanted to chase this, but I couldn't? Like, was there anything like in there? Because you did run track, you did play football, you did sing, but like anything else in there, or one of those where you feel like I really didn't get a chance to chase it? It was just something that I really loved to do.
For the most part, no, not really, because a lot of those things would have taken me away from what God really wanted me to do. Mm-hmm. Because one of the things I did like fashion. Mm-hmm. I did like fashion. I did consider some fashion things, but I had to go to New York. And the fashion world is not always the most
pure,
masculine world. And at the time, the person that I was talking to, I was like, I don't think I want to, just let everything go after college and just go to New York and just thug it out there. I was like, nah, that's not necessarily really what I want to do. I don't see that in my plans, because it was so far out. And, I wasn't 6'2", 6 foot, the model type thing, and I wasn't a designer. So I didn't think, either you have to be in LA, you have to be in Atlanta or New York, or Chicago, even overseas, Chicago, maybe Chicago. But so I didn't think that was realistic for me. And I just said, well, I just love fashion. It might not necessarily be where I'm going to be, but I do love fashion.
Mm-hmm. So whenever you were like in this phase, like I'll say from like teenage to like late 20s, like, was there anything that you saw that you were like, I'm very passionate about it, or I'm really good at this, or something that you were like, I'm passionate about it, but I ain't good at it?
Probably football. I was passionate about it, but what I didn't understand, I got locked into position. And probably I should have just been, now that I think about it, when I go back, I just love playing football. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it was tied to a dream to get me out of the hood, to get me out of this life. I want to provide for my mom. I want to do this and have this great life, thinking that sports was the only way to get to it, because that's the only thing you saw that was successful. It was the sports, it was music. And so, just getting understanding about, if I could go back, I would just enjoy the purpose of playing. I just love to play. And I think if I'd have done that, I'd have had a better experience from the football standpoint. I think track was great. I was great in track, but the football piece, probably just stepping back and just enjoying the process of doing it. And a lot of times we get caught up or I got caught up because I'm, like I said, not having a father, not having someone there to instill that dream, not having a model to really do it. I'm looking at a mom, a mom can't teach you how to be a man. A mom can't, she's doing the best she can with 3 boys at the time. And so what I was trying to do is like, how do I get out of here? How do I get a better life? It's got to be more better than what I saw her having to go through. Mm-hmm. And so the dreaming piece, like, okay, what I began to see is the dreaming piece. God will give you different vehicles. It may not be the dream that you're looking for may not be tied to the vehicle that you're trying to put. It wasn't football. It wasn't going to be track. God used the army. Mm-hmm. I never thought that would be the case, but he used the army. I needed the time. I was a man doing manly things, but I needed to be a man to grow up and become independent. Mm-hmm. I was still living at the house with my mom once I graduated college. I went back to the house, and she was looking at me, and I was looking at her. I was like, "Oh no, it's got to be better than this." Because when you've been independent for a little while, you can't go back home.
Right.
So once I did that, and I said, "You know what? I'm just gonna go active duty." That changed everything because then I began to grow. And begin to change and start to travel and see the world and begin to see God in different places and different opportunities that I never would have had I not said I do and went to those places.
Mm-hmm. For the people growing up though, like 18 or I'll say even 16, like I feel like 16 is around the age when you start getting serious about whatever craft that you're into. Like it's like, all right, it's make or break time. So like all the boys that I'm training or the boys that I see, they're like that 16. I always tell them like, if you playing 2 sports and you're not phenomenal at both, you need to choose one so you can lock in on it and that you can actually hone your craft. Because with AAU and all this other stuff going on, like you really don't have time with the schedule that and the culture that it is now for you to be trying to be like Bo Jackson or Dion. Like there's anomalies like Kyler Murray, right, like Patrick Mahomes, but like at the end of the day, they still chose one. Besides Kyler, he didn't choose one up until the time that he had to.
Right.
But that's an anomaly. Everybody else, you kind of have to choose one. So for like kids and like for other people, I'm wondering your perspective on that because a lot of times now versus back then, like there's so much in place now for kids to like be in delusion, and it's not even knowing that they're in delusion, but like now, before, like I'm back in your day, like if you got held back, you got made fun of. Like that was still me growing up. Like if you got held back, we gonna crack a joke or two, like, and you was gonna get made fun of. But now, like you can get reclassed easily, like in a blink of an eye. You can do it once, you can do it twice, you can get pushed up a grade, you can get pushed up 2 grades, like just depending on like how smart you are and stuff like that. But it's all about positioning, and not to just stick with sports, but like anything in general, it's all about positioning. And with the new college rules, with the COVID years, with all this other stuff, it puts you in position to make you think that you have more an opportunity to chase something that maybe you're just really good at, but it's not necessarily something that you're called to do, or to chase your dream and to realize like, hey, I'm not going to make it. Like the percentages are increasing because you got the G League, you got NIL, so people can stay in college longer, the transfer portal, like it's blowing everything up. So from that standpoint, how do you feel about kids now? You're not necessarily getting that same type of information and reasoning from even fathers. Like they see their kid is good, like they're gonna invest everything they can because they like, my kid could possibly go play college and make $3 million his first year in college, like, and not even thinking like this kid is a great like mathematician, like maybe he needs to do something, or he's good with his hands, maybe he's an engineer. Like what's your perspective in that standpoint?
Well, my perspective being who I am and being that I am a Christian and being that I'm trying to live a biblical lifestyle, I'm looking to seeking the Lord on their behalf about what's going on. Like with you, for example, my goal, because I knew you were fast, I knew you had quickness and speed, and I was like, this is my son. I know he can run. So I was trying to get you in things that was going to cause you to do those things. But the first sport, remember, we were in Germany, in Europe. The first sport you played was soccer. and they had you as the goalie. I wanted you out there running, chasing that ball because I wanted to start training you with running and cutting and all that. They had you as goalie because you was the tallest person out there. I'm like, what? So then I began to see it goalie, differently. I began to say, you know what? That was hilarious that you were the goalie. No running up and down, all the other kids running up and down. I said, Michael need to be out there showing his athleticism on the field. But it didn't work that way. And then ultimately you fell in love with basketball. And so I was just thankful that I didn't push football on you, push what I wanted. You know, sometimes parents live their dreams through their kids. And so they didn't get it, but my kids are going to get it, or whatever the case may be. And I just kind of wanted to make sure you chose what you wanted to be in, whether you were good or not. Just the fact that you were enjoying doing it, and you turned out to be really good in basketball. And I was like, you were much better in basketball than I ever was. So I was very happy about that. So and I was happy that you were happy. So I would just say, from the standpoint of your children, is to know, number one, to make sure that they're going to be living their dream, not your dream. And when I say that, finding out what the purpose is for them. Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, in the Black community, a lot of times we think the only way out are the vehicles of entertainment, the vehicles of sports, or the vehicle of maybe acting or something like that.
Yeah,
when
money
there's
or not.
So many other ways to get out. You know, we're in need of doctors, we're in need of lawyers, we're in need of mathematicians, we need all of those things, but we just have to be in line with what our because at any point, and the good thing is you could be a great athlete, but you're one injury away, one anything from happening that could change your life. Then when you can't play football anymore, what's left? You're more than just a football player. You're more than just a basketball player. You're more than just a soccer player.
Yeah.
And so it's about kind of getting in the mindset of, I was listening to one of your things that you would listen to on TV, and I think the basketball player, said he wished he had gotten into the financial realm a little earlier in his career before he stopped playing, because he said he could have really put himself in a better position financially, economically, to move forward. And so I think that's what a lot of people, especially athletes, find out, as your days of being an athlete are small compared to your days of, you know, whatever else. Those days are the days maybe to probably set your family up, to put a good foundation in for the rest of your life. But now you're going to have to live off of those days of playing. That money has to finance the rest of your life. And so it's about making good decisions and coming and being mature about what's going on. But from a parent standpoint, it's really, you know, knowing your kids, knowing beyond just their prowess in athletics. Or their gifting. Find out where they are and how they're locked in, how they're wired, and begin to give them those opportunities to express those talents and those gifts. And then you'll get to see them blossom holistically and not just from one particular area.
Yeah, I think that it's a two-sided coin with that, because like you said, on one side it's like, where is the child development in that aspect? You might have all your eggs in one basket, but like you're using that one basket to kind of try to teach them different things. But on the flip side, there's less and less opportunity now for kids to actually see what they're good at, because I'm only stick with basketball because I'm around basketball 24/7. So it's like you get the kids in basketball once they start playing basketball, and when they get into middle school, really it's starting like in grade school, but like middle school and beyond, it's like there is no off season. So the tunnel vision that it takes as an athlete to get you to each new level is kind of also a two-sided sword, because it's like, hey, this is what I know to get me here. I got here, but if you take this away, I don't know who I am, because you're blinded by everything. As soon as public school stops, you got AAU. Then when AAU stops, you might have summer workouts, and then you have like preseason training. Like it's never ending. There's never an off season to where you can just sit down and be like, who? Not to mention, teachers do not care anymore about grades. Like when I was in high school, they did your grade checks like every other week, and they're like, what's his name? Like we had trials. I remember 2 of my homeboys got pulled out back-to-back days because they like, you're not even gonna make the team because your grades are trash. Like you can't get on the team, you can't try out, you can't do nothing. You're not gonna make it. Then while we're on the team, they're like, he's failing such and such and such. Like, he's not gonna be able to play unless he does this, this, and this. So like now with that culture, it's even harder to get kids to step out of something and be like, okay, what are you good at? Because now almost feels like parents are either forced or are not equipped to develop their kids in the dreams that they want to do.
I think that just reinforces the importance of parenting.
Yeah.
The importance of parenting providing balance.
Mm-hmm.
We can't get so caught up in, in the dollar signs or in the success piece or in the end game of what we're trying to get to at the expense of the child, because it's a shame to be a great basketball player, to be a great anything, but not really know who you are. You just know that you have this great gifted ability to do this, but then when all the crowds go away, when you get in the mirror by yourself, you don't even know who you are. You don't even know what's going on. And that's a sadness. And I'm sure that there are plenty of prominent players, prominent athletes, prominent people who have experienced that. And so a lot of times that's why it's great to have parenting, because parents have to help their children see the blind spots, have to help them find the balance in it, in the chase for the dream, in the chase for the advancement, in the chase for the degree, whatever the case may be. You got to have that parenting to be able to give you that grounding, to give you that root system to kind of keep the reality check going and keep you sane and not, you're going to have mountaintop experiences, you're going to have valley experiences, but going through it, learning how to balance it all, learning how to stay on key.
Yeah, I think that was, I think another part of that is just, I think a lot of dads, like either not having their dad or them not chasing their dream, like they just really they built a life to be stable for their family. And they're, like you said, they transitioned, they matured or whatever to be like, my dreams have become our dreams. Like it's all encompassed. But I think also, unknowingly, I know that pushes parents or dads to really be like, okay, my kid has this dream and we've set up a life to where it can do that. Like if he has a dream, I'm going to let him chase it all the way into the end without the whole like, okay, well, he's also good at this or he's not good at this. Like, it's like, well, he can do whatever because if he falls, like I'm going to catch him. And we going to put every resource into it to make sure like that you're happy. So with that aspect into it, I think it becomes even harder too for parents to have a balance, because now it's trauma versus like, I guess, non-trauma. Like when you're actually sitting there and you don't even realize that you're having one of those moments to where it's like, I didn't get this. So if my son want to go out and chase the NBA, yeah, we're gonna go full force into it. Or if he wants to go out, he wants to do fashion. Oh yeah, we're at every fashion week. We're at 1st and 15th here in Richmond, like every weekend. Like we gonna get him directly involved and stuff like that. So that aspect of it kind of makes it even harder too if you're not in that mature space in your life to actually do that. And a lot of parents aren't equipped to do stuff like that.
Remember, I think a couple of weeks ago, Apostle shared a conversation he was having with someone. And he asked him, he said, how did you get it? How did you get where you have both of your sons went to Ivy League schools? And his dad, he said, man, that was amazing. And the dad was like, no, I planned it. They were trained from the time to get to that point. And so all that does is crystallize in my mind the importance of parenting. The importance of being there. It's a plan. Success is a planned event. If you want to be successful in anything, you got to come up with the plan. How do I be successful? What are the steps I need to take to be successful? And so it's a plan. And as you work the plan, you're going to change the plan. You're going to revamp the plan. But it's a plan. It's steps that you have to take to reach that goal. And so in that, parents have to be a part of that. Parents are critical, in my opinion. Parents are a critical portion of that equation to help children become successful, become the best authentic selves that they're created to become, holistically in every way, not just great athletes, not just great, but great people, great, all around, well-rounded, can talk, can understand, can sit in a social setting, know how to eat and know how to have table mat, everything. Okay, in addition to being a great basketball player, and in addition to being a great singer, there's balance in all those things to help them in all of life. Because you're not going to always be on the stage. You're going to have to learn how to. They got to be trained to operate in these other areas. And so it's just a matter of, in my opinion, it's just a matter of the parental portion of it is invaluable.
And I was interesting. Like I did a little like analytic research, but like for men versus women, like as we get older, like our creativity drastically drops from 15 to as we get older each year. And we become more logical creatures because for us, it's more so about that, it's like stability and like what makes sense. Like we mature slower than women, but their their creativity stays pretty like fluid all the way until they get older, and even then they become masters of their creativity. Whereas men, our creativity drastically dies down as we get older and older and older and older. But I also
it shouldn't, you know.
I know.
Our Father is the most our Heavenly Father is the most creative person alive. Most creative being alive.
But I think that's only if you're in that world.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
On the flip side of that, it's like if you're not in that world and you're not chasing your dreams, now you're only living in logic. Not living in that realm to where you got stuff to pull from. You're in that one lane, and it's kind of like, again, one lane, you can't swerve out, you can't park, you can't stop. It's only this and this and this. And as you get older, you get from 27 to 49 to 61, and you're wondering like, okay, like I remember back in my day, we had a band and we wanted to do this, this, and this, and this, and we just never got to do it. So on that standpoint, it's just kind of like, if you're not operating in that realm, you don't really know what the other side is looking like, and your options and your doors are limited because it's either A or B. And depending on what door you choose, you can still be disappointed going to chase your dreams, but you can also be disappointed like and jaded when you get to a certain age or whenever you have kids, because you're like, I gave all this up to be here, to have this life for you, to give to you, and now on the back end, like for people, especially for people in the military, when you retire, it's kind of like, I remember Kobe talking about it, like he's like, I had to really think about what I was gonna do when I retire. Like I've been playing basketball for half of the amount of time that I've been alive, more than half the time. He played 20 years in the NBA alone. So it was like, I had to figure out what I was passionate about. He found out he was passionate at telling stories. But like, even for people in the military, you don't know when it's over until it's over, because that a lot of people that I noticed like get into the military, like just from friends, dads, and all this other stuff and other things, it's more so like, I'm in the military, I'm good at what I do. Like I could really just run this up when I get to a certain rank. I could really just run this up and do a couple more promotions, get my years in and chill. But like after you get your years in, like if you're not in that lane and you're not a believer, what do you feel like you're called to do? Then the dreams kind of die. It's kind of like, well, I never dreamed about being in the military. I joined just because like this is what I was called to do. So like now you're faced with that obstacle of like, I mean, besides like focusing on family, which is what most men and women do when they get out the military, because they've been in so long and they've been away from family. Like, what else? What's your purpose now? It's not just to, you know, continue to be a dad, continue to just be a husband. What else is there? And I feel like a lot of people, that's where the men don't dream come into play. From my standpoint. How you feel about that?
Yeah, there's a lot of validity in that. I love the way you brought me back in, because sometimes and we as Christians, we live in our bubbles sometimes, and we have to also remember that we're trying to also keep that bubble open for others to include others. And sometimes if we're not thinking how I'm thinking, I can't think from the standpoint that everybody's a Christian and everybody believes in God and believes in a higher being like I do.
Right.
So, you know, that requires some creativity. That requires some agility mentally and spiritually to be able to connect and be able to open the door to have that conversation and hear them from that's when we need to tap into wisdom. That's where we need to tap into to compassion and really understand. And really, it takes a little bit to really come down from where you believe and where you are to kind of meet with someone who may not believe the same that you do. And so it's important that and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something I'm gonna have to think about, because as I go out, I'm gonna encounter that part. And so you're gonna have to have those conversations in those spaces that may not believe like you, but at the same time, there are principles that you can share. Spiritual principles work no matter what. And you can share them with people. And even if they don't believe in God, even if they don't believe in what you believe, when you share those spiritual principles that work and are proven over time that they can apply, what it does is it plants a seed and opens the door for them to have another conversation at another time and another space to maybe, open their mind up about what their beliefs are. Mm-hmm. So
I feel like as you get older, when you're in the space versus not being in the space of a Christian, when you're not in that space, like you rely on work and you rely on like repetitiveness, and you rely on like actually having to hone in on whatever that you're doing and perfecting it in order to get to where you want to be. Like military, like
right. That becomes you're looking at that as your source. As your source.
So
right.
Now you're not operating at faith at all, but faith is the creativity activator. Like that's where you're going to draw everything from. That's where like foolishness becomes wisdom. Wisdom seems like foolishness to other people. Like that's where those two collide. But whenever you're on the opposite side of it, like that creativity, that analytic of creativity dying becomes real. And it's really like, it gets to the point to where you really have to sit there and think about I don't know what I'm passionate about. I like most men, the majority of men, I like sports. I mean, I know I like that. I love my family. Like if you don't love your family as a man, like it's kind of like, what are you doing? But like, those are really the only two things that you have. So like when you do, like you said, when you do go out there, like, and you're having conversations with men, it's kind of like, it's hard to really be like, what exactly are you passionate about? Like outside of those two, outside of music, outside of all the generic stuff that like really, not to stereotype, but really that black people like in America kind of really push like as the main things, because it seems like there's so many of us that make it when it's not. But like, what is that conversation like? Because like, how am I going to explain to you, like, how am I going to make you feel, like, outside of, taking you to the Christian route, how am I going to make you feel and acknowledge the fact, like, hey, yeah, like, you had to do what you had to do for your family, but like, now what? Like, even outside of the Christian space, like, what are you passionate about? Because even what you're passionate about outside of that plays a role into where you are in the kingdom of God.
Yeah, I knew, coming out of the Army, now that you say that, a lot of times we see ourselves as soldiers, we see ourselves as airmen, navalmen, midshipmen, whatever the case may be, airmen, those kind of things. And so Marines. And so we don't always, we see ourselves in line of what we do and what we've been a part of, but it's a hard thing to transition. There's a song that in the Army is like, old soldiers never die, they just fade away.
Right.
And so I had to come to a point, well, what is it that I want to be passionate about? What is it that I want to do? Because I've always done this. So the uniform was always a part of my life after college. It was like, boom, 23 years of running around all over the world wearing this uniform. And so what I had to do was really take some time to think about, well, what is it that I want to do? I knew that I wanted to work for a company that supported soldiers, supported the military. So I knew that. So Defense Logistics Agency was my top, choice for employment afterwards. But I had to really, it took a little while. I probably should have taken a little more time, because it was such a fast process transition.
Thinking about stability.
To think about, I was making moves to make sure I had a job and, we can continue to go
and we're
buying
moving.
a house and those kind of things. But I really needed more time to really think about what was I passionate about? What was the next move? Or to even fully come out of the unit. It took a long time to take the uniform off, because it's the things that you learn while you were wearing a uniform that has formed your character, your opinions, it's so many things that you do because that's what we did. That's how we did it in the Army, or that's how we did it in the Navy, or whatever the case may be. And now you have to, some of those things are very good things, and that's fine, but you have to take that uniform off, and it's more of a mental process than it is just a physical process.
Right. Yeah, I think also too, like, to piggyback on that side too, you're also thinking as a man too, like, whenever you're chasing your dreams, or even when you're not chasing your dreams, like when you've accomplished like all the things, 23 years in the military, CW4, like not even to go down the whole list of everything, but just that right there, like a lot of people can't get past that. It's like, okay, my dreams have started to become, like, the stuff that I'm good at has started to become my dream. Like my next goal, which is actually considered a dream, like I want to be this before I get out of this space. Like I want to do this before I get out of this space. Like same thing with athletes, same thing with entertainers. Like you have certain things that you want to accomplish, but like when that is removed and like you have to chase a new dream or you have to get new ideas, it's kind of like, well, like you said, like all my ideas have been centered around this. So like now, how do I relock in? How do I activate creativity? How do I look beyond just the only thing that I know and not throw it all into my kids or throw it all into my wife and say, yeah, whatever y'all want to do, I'm just gonna support that because y'all sacrifice for me. It's kind of like the imbalance that you see regularly on the regular day life. Like I had a conversation with one of my OGs in the gym the other day, and he's like, I only had to do 10 years in the government. I did my 20 in the military. I'm retiring next year. I'm going to do all this and I'm just going to enjoy life, and I'm just going to give everything to my kids because I did everything I was supposed to do, and blah, 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 blah. But there was no like, man, I've been waiting to retire because I'm going to open this business, or like I've been waiting to retire so I can do this. I could focus on this. I could get into real estate. It was literally like, this is the cap off my American dream. This is the cap off the life that I had to sacrifice. So my reward is I get to see my family thrive and I get to chill. Like I'm living La Vida Loca every day. I don't have no obligations, but in that there's emptiness that we don't even speak about.
Probably, but what I'm sure every man will find out after that's happened, it's going to start churning again. You're going to have that passion. You're going to have that desire to do something else. It's got to be more to it than this. I mean, because you see a lot of older people that have retired. You see them back in the space of working again.
Go back to working.
Because they're like, wait a minute, there's more. I still have more of this to do or more of that to do. Now I just get to do it more on my terms now. I don't have to, but I want to. I want to contribute, or I still want to get out there and do this or do that. And even those that are doing businesses, like you said, it's just going to take the time to have that power down moment where you get out of that. It takes a little while depending on the person, because some people have already started planning their next career before they get out of the previous career. Others haven't. So it takes a little bit of time to power down to come out of that before you decide to get into the thing. It's just a matter of when that moment comes, are you ready to go ahead and put the time in and the work in, the dreaming in, the planning in to make it, to go ahead and make a run at the next vision, the next goal, the next desire, the next dream.
You said, to go back a little bit, you said like whenever you were getting out the military, like you was just looking for another job and you knew that you wanted to work somewhere that supported soldiers. In that time frame when you knew you were going to be out the military, when did you start thinking like, hey, I need to like really, really, really focus and think about like, what is it that I want to do like after this space besides like that? Like, what was that? How long did it take for you to realize that?
It took a little while because of the fact that it was just such a quick, I mean, from August of 2013 to December 2013 when I actually retired. I mean, it was just like such a quick process to know, okay, I have to retire. All right, let's plan it out, burn and leave. How much leave do I sell back? How much TDY do I take? All of these different things, that you're going through. Okay, getting this in place, getting that in place. So it took quite a while. It took the time that I walked out of the stage of the retirement on December 13th. It was Friday the 13th, December 13th, 2013. It was a fog. I was like, wow. One moment I had the uniform on. Next moment I am retired.
Right.
And so it was like, what do I go from here? What do I do from here? Not necessarily from a spirit, a physical standpoint, but from a spiritual standpoint. Well, what do I do now? I mean, I was so thankful. Yes, I would be there for you the last 2 years of your high school time. It was like, yeah, we're gonna have a good time and all that good stuff. Get to see you go off to college and get to be there. I don't get to miss any of the important things again. But it began to churn to me. What's the next thing? Mm-hmm. What's the next thing for me to do? What's the next thing for me to be a part of? Not just it was bigger than the next job, but it took a little while. It took quite a while to really start to begin to allow those this new thought pattern, this new reality to become centered on me, and really make allowing me to move forward in my thought pattern, allowing me to move out of the soldier mentality and moving into learning new things. They say you can't teach old dogs new tricks. Well, when old dogs move out of their old environments, they have to learn new tricks to survive. They have to learn new tricks to thrive and to have more fulfilling lives.
Because it's almost like, I know, like we used to talk about it all the time. It's almost like a death. Like whenever you've done something so long and like now it's time to like actually transition, like you have to learn how to cope with that reality, like leaving, because like you've had a reality, like let's say even having a reality for 10 years, like now you're removed and now you're trained and you've developed a routine that is centered around that. So you've plugged all these different things in around that, and now you have to change your reality, and it's puts you in a different space to where you have to build that all over again, depending on how you handle it, like what lane that you're in, if you're a believer, if you're a non-believer. It's like to switch your mindset and to actually be able to adapt to that, especially with technology and the world and cultures changing. It's like, dang, like I gotta actually take time to like allow myself to like let this go and not be trying to bring this into the next phase of my life.
Right.
So I think that's the more telling piece is just whether or not, of course, are you a believer, are you not? And then two, how equipped are you to even be in that space to where you have to do that? And also too, like if you've never lost somebody and you're transitioning out of like something like the military, and that's your first death, really, if you look at it, like that's your first death. Like, oh, I've never had to deal with anything like this, like that close to me. Like that transition can be crazy.
Yep. And I think it's also very important for men, especially women. They usually don't have a problem with this. They usually have a circle of girlfriends and they talk and they do the things that they do. Sometimes we have to, in our circles as men, we have to have people that in our circle that have different experiences,
right? And
can talk from different things. Right. We got to get beyond just the sports or just the things that draw us together, that makes us friends. Let's talk about life. Let's talk about the transition piece. How did you know when it was time to leave this or when it was time to do that? Mm-hmm. That's how you begin to broaden your horizon. That's how you begin to keep your dreams birthing, by being around people that, number one, hold you accountable. Number two, that you can really learn from. How you should always have somebody that you're, of course, walking with on the same level, but you should have some people that are at the level you're trying to get to.
Right.
And so you want to be able to have those people there to pull you and to pour into you and to give you a plan, to be able to set out those goals and be able to look and see, okay, there is life after this, or there is, wow, I could do, maybe I don't want to do that, but I'd like to take it in this area.
Right.
So how did you come to that? Having the same conversation like we're having now, to really be able to birth new opportunities for it. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need to do as men. Sometimes men, we just have comfortable conversations, comfortable environments a lot of times, because that's what we want to be comfortable. But sometimes we need those other things that cause confrontational change for us to embrace that, to kick our thinking into a whole new realm of understanding, a whole new realm of dreaming, a whole new realm of thinking about what's next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It is a transition, and to have like people that you can actually talk to.
Absolutely.
I feel like all my homies now, of course, like when I was younger, are older than me, or they're in like a different space. So like to really shout out to Trey, to really see him be a father and to like go through all his process, and he's about to get married in next year, and like they got a house and do all this stuff. It's just kind of like, dang, it really all just came full circle for you. And I just remember like the last 2-3 years, how like what it really looked like and what your transition was and the sacrifices that you made to get here. And now like you're actually getting to pursue your dreams. Like, and I think also too, that ties in with the topic. It's like now you get to actually pursue your dream. Like beyond, you get to actually do what you want to do and get out of the mundane, like this is where I have to do right now and this is my stability. Like now you're retired and you get to do all the things that you want to do, along with like making sure you're there for your family and right, all the other things.
I really think here's a shout out for the Word of God says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains the favor of the Lord. When you find a wife, I always tell, all the young men that I talk with, I always tell them I like to say he who findeth a wife. I like to put that find, I like to lengthen it, because I like to say you find it says there's a scripture that also says a man leaves his mother and father and findeth a wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Mm. Well, in that time of findeth, I like to lengthen it, he finds purpose, he finds a credit report, he finds a job, he finds a home. Because remember, in the pattern, if we're doing it biblically, go back to Adam and Eve. By the time Eve came on the scene, mm-hmm, Adam had everything he needed to do. God had given all the stuff. He had given him a job. He was walking in dominion. He was walking in. Eve was the final piece that needed to complete the garden. And the same thing, I think a wife kind of helps that husband in perpetuating the dream, in perpetuating the fulfillment of what's going on in the thing. So it's important, as you shared with that, finding the right partner to go and do life with, in order to, that partner is gonna help you. My wife, she fuels what I do. We do it together. And so she complements what I do so well. It's like, wow, it's just amazing. It was more about the spiritual connection than it was really about just the physical connection. It was really more about ministry than it was about anything else. And I didn't know it at the time. You just get to enjoy the other part. But the ministry piece is what I'm really charged over now in this season in my life. And so I get to see it differently. And so that's a plug for making sure young men and young ladies, make sure you all find the right people to connect with before you, move out on those things in life, because it's important. It's important who you associate. It's important who it's important who your pastor is, important who you marry. It's important, all those things, important where you work. All those things are very important. So you have to be very mindful and in the moment when you make those decisions.
For sure. And I think you just talked your wife up because she over here texting, y'all still recording?
Yeah, I know. She blowing the phone over here too.
Bruh. But
they want us to be together as men, but then they want to stick their head in and see what's going on all the time. They do it all the time.
Especially oh my gosh.
Let the men do the men things. We got it. We got it.
Literally.
At least we right here together.
Literally.
Doing the right things.
Literally. So luckily I'm at my closing question, but I feel like she just threw me off, and I didn't
don't let her throw you off.
I'd have forgot about it. So last question before we get into our closing question. What was the last dream that you had, like specifically for yourself, Like, what was the last dream that you had that you were like, all right, and we're in the fourth quarter of the year. Like, what is something like that you're like, all right, cool. Like, I had a dream about this, or this is my goals, or this was my idea. Like, what was that last thing?
It's the current thing that I talked about before. Becoming, I'm dreaming about what does debt, becoming debt free. What does that look like? Mm-hmm. I understand there's always going to be some kind of debt. There's a mortgage. Yes, there's going to be, power bill. You got to pay those things. But I'm talking about getting to the point where only those things are the debt things. I'm no credit card debt. Good debt. But and getting rid of bad debt, and just being able to free up funds to do, and just to do things that God wants me to do things that I need to do, it's so much pressure. You learn like, man, you're pressuring to do this and do this. I want to eliminate all that unnecessary pressure so I can deal with the real pressures that I'm having to go through.
Right.
So that's really that's one of my dreams, biggest dreams now is moving towards debt reduction and debt freedom, being debt free.
Okay. So my last question is going to be a little controversial.
Controversial.
So it's my closing question. So I got two. I'm gonna give you this one first because it's easy. I already told you kind of a couple of people that I wanted on next on the podcast. But if it was your decision, who would be next following your conversation on the podcast?
My wife.
Oh boy.
Camilla Katrina Dickerson. Yes. That would be great.
Gated government. God. Yeah, me and her definitely gotta have a conversation.
Yes, y'all gotta have a conversation.
We gotta have a conversation. It gotta be something we don't agree on because we agree on most things. Or I just say stuff and she just says,
I'm gonna have to write it up for y'all.
Yeah, that might be dangerous because then she really be in here like, Michael. Yes. And she start getting personal. I'm like, all right, man, not on camera.
Not on camera.
All right, so
that's an easy one.
And give me a follow up person because that's the president. We gotta make.
Yeah.
We gotta make arrangements.
Go through the Secret Service to get to that.
We gotta get clearance to get with that. So give me somebody else. Like in the meantime, while I'm doing my little stuff in the background.
I'm trying to think. Follow up based on the people you told me. You didn't tell me nobody else. Other than the other. Trying to think. You know what? I would love for Apostle Wide to be on here.
Me too.
Okay.
I feel like that'd be a good conversation. Right, so you gotta help me set that up.
So what I'm gonna do is send it when you send this out. I'm gonna send this to him and let him take a look at it, and then I'll work on seeing if he can get him on.
For sure, I'm gonna need to book like 2 sessions because he could talk.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So my last question, that's my controversial one. My last question.
Controversial, all right.
Who really came after the other person? Was it you chased mom or mom chased you? I got it. We got to get this on record. We got to get this on record. Who was it? Who did it? Who shot the shot?
I shot the shot.
Okay, because you had a couple instances. You was like, nah, you was looking at me, you was checking me out. Da.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I shot the shot. So I mean, that's I put it out there, and I stepped to her, and it worked out the way it worked out.
All right, cool. Yeah, I know Mom's probably looking like this too. When she look at this, she gonna be like, you better not say it either.
Nah, I mean, I just saw her a few times and we just kept bumping into each other. And then one time I just saw her and we just had a conversation and then it just went on from there. And that's how that worked. She was more so very reserved. So I was persistent. She was looking at me like I was a little too aggressive, trying to talk to her, or a little too aggressive. She was very laid back and looking. She was evaluating.
Big dog.
She didn't understand. At the time she was trying to see the package, see what was going on. What was my intent? What kind of person was I? And I appreciate her having those eyes. But she was mature. She was very mature. So it was totally different than any of the other young ladies that I had dated or at least talked to, had any type of relationship with, you had to come with some correct communication. You had to come with some, she was looking for intelligent conversation. She wasn't looking for hey girl, that ain't gonna work with her.
Yeah, her program's strict.
Yeah.
Gotta have a wristband to go over there.
Yeah. So that was good. But yeah, I was the first one. We pick around the house and have fun with it, but I have to throw it out there. But yeah, I was the one that had to. I saw her. It's like, okay, I'm gonna see what's going on. Thinking of somebody like her. She might have been stuck up, but she was really down to earth, really friendly person. So it worked out really good for me.
Good. Well, I gotta say, I appreciate this. This is I know my friends gonna personally be excited. It be people that I be looking like, you don't even know my dad, but they know you from like the gym, or they know you from work, or they know you from like high school, college, or whatever, and they like, how your dad doing? I'm like, you don't even know my dad.
It's so funny. I got a Teams message at my desk the other day. Hey, do you have a son? Do you have a son that works in the gym? I said, yeah, he's a supervisor over there. She's like, oh my goodness. I was like, I know it could have been coincidence. They both have the same name. I said, no, that's my son. He's like, wow.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, literally. And what's her name the other day when we were in the cafeteria? She's like, that's your dad? I'm like, yeah. They're like, bruh. I'm like, yeah. But ever since then, I'm telling you are a fan favorite on this side. They love you.
All right. Well,
sure.
That's good to know. That's good to know. You know.
Yeah.
Fan favorite.
I mean, I would tell y'all to follow him, but he don't got no social media.
No, I do
nothing.
not.
He ain't got nothing, bro. So if you don't got his phone number or nothing, you can't get in contact with him. So, and my dad don't like to text or really like nothing like that. So, I mean,
I do text. I text.
And he keep his phone on vibrate. So really, y'all can't contact him. So that's good. So y'all can just leave him alone. But if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Mike the Young OG on Instagram, on TikTok as well. You can follow the podcast at RAPORCAP podcast on Instagram and on TikTok and on Facebook. If you following Twitter, remove the T and add the 1, and y'all tell me and Pops if we rapping and capping.